This tiny piece of silicon, built inside a factory cleaner than any hospital on Earth, is running your military, your hospitals, your money, and your phone right now. But 70 years ago, it didn't exist. Before the CPU, computers were the size of entire buildings. They ran on vacuum tubes, glass bulbs the size of your fist, each one doing what a single transistor does today. A modern CPU has over 50 billion transistors. ENIAC had 18,000 vacuum tubes and still filled a gymnasium. Newspapers called it a giant brain. The US military called it a weapon. Because its first real job was calculating artillery trajectories for World War II. But vacuum tubes burned out constantly. One failure and the whole machine went dark. Then, in 1947, 3 scientists at Bell Labs in New Jersey changed everything. They invented the transistor, a tiny solid-state switch that did the same job as a vacuum tube, but was smaller, faster, cheaper, and didn't burn out. They won the Nobel Prize. America barely noticed. The country was booming. Nobody was thinking about silicon. But a small company in Texas was paying very close attention. Jack Kilby at Texas Instruments asked one question that nobody else was asking. What if instead of wiring transistors together by hand, you built everything onto a single piece of silicon? In 1958, he built the first integrated circuit. It looked like a mess of wires on a sliver of germanium. Today's chips are its direct descendants. NASA immediately adopted the technology. The Apollo guidance computer that landed humans on the moon ran on integrated circuits. America went to the moon on a chip smaller than your thumbnail. By 1969, a startup called Intel had a wild idea. 2 engineers who left Fairchild Semiconductor with nothing but a vision and some venture capital. A Japanese calculator company hired them to build 12 custom chips for a new calculator. Intel engineer Ted Hoff said, "Why build 12 chips when we can build one that does everything?" The Intel 4004 launched in 1971, the world's first commercial microprocessor. 2,300 transistors, 740 kilohertz. It was slower than your microwave's display chip today, but it was the beginning of everything. Gordon Moore, Intel's co-founder, made a prediction in 1965 that sounded insane. He said the number of transistors on a chip would double roughly every 2 years. And for 50 years, he was right. By the 1980s, CPUs had entered American homes, the IBM PC, the Apple II. Kids were learning to code. Businesses were replacing filing cabinets with floppy disks. The Pentium era made Intel a household name. Intel Inside became one of the most recognized brand campaigns in US history. You didn't buy a computer, you bought an Intel. But Intel had a rival that refused to die. Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, the scrappy underdog from Sunnyvale, California. In 1999, AMD launched the Athlon and beat Intel's clock speed for the first time ever. The internet exploded. Enthusiasts called it the biggest upset in chip history. Both companies poured billions into the megahertz race. Who could hit 1 gigahertz first? AMD crossed 1 gigahertz first in March 2000. Intel followed days later. The gigahertz barrier was broken. America was winning the chip war against itself. But raw clock speed hit a wall. Push a chip too fast, and it doesn't just slow down, it melts, literally. So engineers stopped asking, how fast can one core go, and started asking, what if we used 2 cores? The Intel Core 2 Duo in 2006 didn't just improve performance, it changed the entire philosophy of chip design. Instead of one incredibly fast lane, you now had 2 lanes moving traffic simultaneously. Video editing, 3D rendering, multitasking, everything got dramatically faster overnight. Then, in 2020, Apple did something nobody expected. They fired Intel. The Apple M1 chip was designed entirely in-house, built on ARM architecture, and it destroyed everything Intel had. Better performance, half the power consumption, no fan required, a fanless laptop that outperformed machines with active cooling systems. The tech world lost its mind. And Apple kept going. M2, M3, all the way to the blistering fast M5 generation, each iteration rewriting the benchmark charts. But the biggest shift happening right now isn't about your laptop or your phone. It's about AI. And the chip powering it is not a CPU at all. NVIDIA's H100 GPU has become the most valuable piece of hardware on Earth. Companies are paying $40,000 per chip and waiting months to get them. The U.S. government declared chips a matter of national security. The CHIPS Act pumped $52 billion into domestic semiconductor manufacturing. Taiwan's TSMC is building fabs in Arizona. Intel is building in Ohio. Samsung in Texas. America is rebuilding its chip industry from the ground up. From a room-sized machine calculating artillery shells in 1945 to a chip in your pocket running real-time AI in 2024, every single breakthrough happened because one engineer asked a question nobody else was asking. What chip is powering your life right now? Drop your device in the comments. If this hit different, subscribe. New episode dropping next week. Peace.